What is up? It is Saturday, and I am so excited to be joined by my good friend Howard Bender. How are we, Howard? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you as well, Laura. Thanks so much for having me
Thank
here. I'm
you.
super psyched about it. It's a big day today, right? We got some Australian Open tennis, maybe some NHL to
Yeah,
discuss. There's lots of action going on in sports.
lots of action going on in the world, and none of that has to do with football, right? Just kidding. We got a heck of a lot of football today, and it is all presented by our friends at Superbook Sports. Are you ready for it? We have the divisional round, 2 games today, 2 games tomorrow. We have Bobby Stanley coming on to give us some props. We have Sean Green coming on to talk about his bets and his best plays for the divisional round. How excited are you, Howard? And it's crazy. Only 7 NFL games left this whole season.
I was doing some work over at Fantasy Alarm and just writing some stuff up, and I'm like, I can't believe we're sitting here at the divisional round right now. It just seems like this
Yes.
NFL season has just flown by unbelievably, and right, we're sitting here now, 4 games this weekend, 2 games today. I'm super pumped because what we're looking at right now is. It's the cream of the crop. It's all the marquee players. It's all the big names that we wanted to see here at the end. Maybe a little surprise from Jacksonville, but I gotta tell you, I'm super excited about the way these NFL playoffs have gone, and I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah, I know. A lot of exciting games last weekend, which I feel like people thought the games were going to be way more of a blowout than they actually were. We saw some really good games, despite the second half of that 49ers game and then the Bucks game, obviously, on that Monday Night Football. But the other games were phenomenal to watch. And you mentioned the Jaguars that come back from that 27-point deficit against the Chargers, and the Chargers absolutely chargered. Well, they're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs this week, who had a bye last week. They haven't played. The Chiefs laying 8.5 points at home at Arrowhead. That total right now is set at 52.5. Now, I want to know what you think about this, Howard. Do you think Jacksonville will bring the momentum from the third largest postseason comeback victory ever? I mean, not even Trevor Lawrence's four first half turnovers could stop their momentum. They're on a 6-game winning streak. And the Chiefs right now have won 5 straight to end the regular season. But is 8.5 too many points to be laying in this one?
I wrote this up here over at Pickswise this game, and no, I don't
Yeah.
think that the 8.5 is too much. These teams met in what was it, week 10, 27
Mm-hmm.
17 was the game. If you've been going on with the Chiefs, the bettors will tell you Chiefs haven't covered the spread. What notes right here? 3-8 against the spread at home, 3-5 against the spread at home. They are 7-10 against the spread overall for the season. And what we've seen is that the Chiefs really haven't been blowing out teams at home, especially at home. And they haven't
Yeah.
been covering the spread, and it's a concern. But if you look at the Chiefs game log over like their last 4 games, maybe last 4 weeks of the regular season, they've started to get a little bit more of a higher gear. You're starting to see Andy Reid getting a little bit more creative with the weaponry that he
Mm-hmm.
has. And I look at this game here, and yeah, I mean, if I'm going to sit and I'm going to make a pick on this one, I think that the Chiefs do win. I think that this game goes over the 53. It opened at 51.5, which is when I first bet it. And I took the over on that, and I'm still fine doing the over here at 53 because I kind of see this team as, yeah, Jacksonville's going to come out swinging. They're really going to want to, you got to worry about Trevor Lawrence's nerves. That's definitely going to be a
Mm-hmm.
factor. But to me, as much as I love Jacksonville, and I was way in on Jacksonville to start the season, even before the season, I said, Doug Peterson, you're putting in this great system right now. Give the Jags who played for Urban Meyer a mulligan, and
Hmm.
let them start
Yeah.
over. It's over now. Time's up. Like, you guys, it was a great, great thing. That emotional victory last week against the Chargers in the
Hmm.
comeback, all of that there. I just don't. I think this is where experience really trumps emotion and momentum, because I think Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes have a lot up their sleeves this weekend, and yeah. But I do see this being as like a 35-21 or 35-24 type of game.
Yeah, part of me kind of likes the Jacksonville Jaguars to have a recover, or lay the points with the Kansas City Chiefs in the first half. I look at this one, and yes, the Chiefs have won 10 of their last 11 games after losing to the Bills in week 6. But at the same time, they've been one of the worst teams at home and in the NFL this season against the spread. I think they're like 5-11-1 ATS, but it's because a lot of their games, they've had massive spreads. A lot of them have been double digits. And the one thing that worries me, Howard, and I want to get your take on this about the Chiefs, is their red zone defense right now. They're allowing a touchdown scored on about 67% of their opponent's trips to the red zone, which is 31st in the NFL right now. Only the Colts were worse. And I feel like that's part of the reason why they've been so bad at covering the spread. It's big spreads and not holding your opponents to field goals. You're allowing touchdowns instead. Also, they rank 15th in opponent yards per carry, which is middle of the pack, and the Jags ranked 8th in yards per carry. So Travis Etienne, his mouth is watering looking at those stats. He's like, okay, maybe we could take advantage of the run game. By no means do I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win this game. Could there be a possibility of a backdoor cover, or you really think the Chiefs are going to just blow this thing out of the water?
I don't think the Chiefs are going to blow this out of the water, but stop. Don't say backdoor cover to me. Don't you say that to me. Don't you
Sorry.
put that juju on me, Jabara.
Sorry.
Um,
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I just listen. I think, again, this is a game where I could see it being close throughout the first half, and yeah, I could see the
Yeah.
Jaguars really. All of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh, look at that! The Jaguars, they're gonna beat the Chiefs. They're gonna upset the Chiefs." And then Andy Reid's gonna make his halftime adjustments, and the next thing you know, it's like, boom, the Chiefs get the ball, they score. Boom, they
Yeah.
stop the Jaguars. Boom, they come back, they score again, and all of a sudden they start to do it. Maybe the Jags come, bring it a little bit closer here, but yeah, I still see a 10-point margin of victory here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's Patrick Mahomes' world, and we're just living in it, right? He's
Uh,
the league leader in passing yards, career high 5,250. He's the league leader in touchdown passes at 41. He's the league leader in total QBR at 77.7. And they have Travis Kelce on top of that, who's been phenomenal all season long. The Chiefs win this game. They move on to the conference round. I'm excited to see this game, but I'm also excited to see how the Giants play the Philadelphia Eagles for the evening game tonight. Obviously, the Eagles had their bye last week too. They didn't play, and the Giants, man, they had, I think, if not the Jaguars had having the biggest upset, the Giants had the second biggest upset against the Minnesota Vikings. We knew that those one score games that the Vikings have been winning all season, that luck would finally run out, and it did in wild card weekend. Now we have the Eagles laying 7.5 points. This one's going to be interesting, right? Like, I feel like if the Giants play like they did last week against the Vikings, they played a perfect game. Daniels looked phenomenal. It's wild to me that Daniel Jones was their leading rusher over Saquon Barkley last week, but he used his legs. His passing game was phenomenal. And I know back in week 14, the Giants lost to the Eagles. What was it, like 48-22? That was the stretch of games that they were like 0-3-1 over 4 weeks. Jalen Hurts, he is playing, probably not going to be at 100%. He's been dealing with that shoulder injury. I know head coach Nick Sirianni said he expects it to be maybe a little bit of an issue in the divisional round. 7.5. Is that too many points in Philly? I know that it could get a little crazy there in Philadelphia.
it can get a little crazy there in Philadelphia. I jumped on when it was 7.5. I jumped on the Giants,
Mm-hmm.
actually. I love that. I love that extra half point. I mean, that's just that is really, because I do think that the Eagles end up winning this game, and I do think that they can
Yeah.
win it by a touchdown. But so you give me that extra half point. I mean, let's not forget, this is whether the Giants rested their starters or not in the final week of the regular season. This is still what the third time these teams are playing in the last 7 weeks. And in
Yeah.
the NFL, that's huge. We saw Buffalo, Miami. We saw Baltimore, Cincinnati. We've seen these divisional games in the playoffs get really tight because these teams do have a strong familiarity with each other. So, you know, not to mention the fact, like you said, Hurts with the shoulder. I think it's going to be, to me, it's not so much about the shoulder itself as much as it is about the
Yeah.
rust and the layover. The dude's played one game against backup, second and third string defenses. One game in 5 weeks. That's a big deal. So I do think that there is going to be a little bit of rust. I do think that there could be a little bit of timing issues there, and it does open the
Hmm.
door for the Giants. And I think, if you look at the Giants game log throughout the season, you look how they did against the spread, you were surprised to see that, that their defense really did kind of hang in there and keep things close. I think that, they have to worry about stopping the run, but I think the Giants keep this game close. I think it's a battle back and forth. Like I said, I'll take the Giants plus the 7.5, and then I'll parlay it with the Eagles money line and just keep myself going.
Oh. Yeah, I absolutely love it. The one thing I looked at with New York's defense is they blitz more than any other defense in the NFL. They're blitzing at 44% of snaps. And you look at Jalen Hurts, he ranks 26th in expected points added per dropback during the regular season. So he's struggled against the blitz this season. And I think maybe with him not being 100%, that's an area where they can take advantage. I still think, obviously, he's the better quarterback out of the two teams at that point.
Sure,
And the
sure.
Eagles' defense is solid. The one part where I feel like last week too, Howard, everyone was saying the way that the Giants are going to beat the Vikings is if they use the run game. The running game is going to be their bread and butter. That's how they need to win that game. This week, I actually think that's what needs to be their bread and butter because that really is one of the only weaknesses that the Philadelphia Eagles have is their rush defense. And with him and Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones running the way that they did last game, like I loved how Daniel Jones used his legs last week. He looked really, really good. They played a perfect, flawless game. Do I think that they're going to play that game this week? Probably not. It's hard to have a
Hmm.
perfect game like that 2 weeks in a row. But I do also think that they keep this game close. I don't know. The Eagles have won the last 3 meetings and 11 of the last 13 against the Giants. But it's tough to beat a team 3 times, like you said. So I don't know. It's going to be a fun
I
one to
mean,
watch, don't you think?
this is gonna be a great game to watch. It really is. And my wife is a diehard Giants fan, and my life is always a
Oh my
lot easier
gosh.
when they win. So, so I'm obviously gonna put my big blue hat on once the game goes. But I mean, to be realistic, yeah, I mean the Eagles are just they've got superior talent on that team. I mean, if you just match it up, I'll take Hurts over grabbing Daniel Jones. I will take Barkley over Miles Sanders. However, now if you're talking about the wide receivers, Devonta Smith and AJ Brown versus Isaiah Hodgins and maybe Darius Slayton or Richie James.
Hmm.
So I definitely think the edge is there. But the reason I do think that it stays close is I give the edge to Brian Daboll over Nick
Yeah.
Sirianni. I'm not going to take anything away from what Sirianni did, but let's face it, what he's done with the Eagles, he's done it with superior talent. What Dayball's done with the Giants has just, I mean, this is
Yeah.
nobody thought the Giants were going to be in the playoffs
Insane.
alone, let alone playing in the divisional game.
Yeah, he has coached the crap out of that team. And also something to back your point here too. The Giants 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games. Eagles 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 against the NFC. So if you like the Giants plus 7.5, these trends definitely favor you. Okay. With all these games, we talk about the big picture, Howard, but we got the little slices of pie in between. And for that, let's bring in Bobby Stanley, Prop Holiday, to give us some of his props for these 2 games for this divisional weekend. And Bobby Stanley, first of all, happy Saturday. How are we?
Happy Saturday, guys. Excited to be here and talk about divisional weekend. What's going on? Howard, long time no see.
Hey.
It's been a while, Bobby. Bobby and I we broke bread yesterday, actually, on the Fantasy Alarm
Oh,
Show. We
nice.
talked some props here, so he promised me some different props today than he gave me yesterday. So I'm super pumped to see what he's got.
Sure.
Yeah, we absolutely love it. And I know Bobby Stanley, that we were talking a little bit earlier about Travis Etienne, and he's looking at the Chiefs and he's like, ooh, maybe I could take advantage in a spot like this, where the Jags ranked eighth in the NFL in yards per carry. Also, the Chiefs allow, I think they're 15th in opponent yards per carry, which is kind of middle of the pack. You think he's going over his prop today?
I do like ETN today. I like him a lot on his receiving yards. So this line is weird.
Oh, wow.
I got it at 17 and a half. I wrote it up at 17 and a half. I have a ticket in my account right now for over 13 and a half when it opened. I wish I did the article then, but I can't give out 13 and a half because it wasn't there for everyone else. Over 17 and a half receiving yards, kind of settled in at 18 and a half, 19 and a half right now. This Kansas City Chiefs team allows the second most targets per game to opposing running backs and a league worst 49 receiving yards per game to opposing running backs. So it's a good spot for running backs against the Chiefs. I think it's largely in part due to their linebacking core. Willie Gay and Darius Harris, two of the worst coverage linebackers in the NFL, both top 28 in missed tackles in coverage. So I think it's a good spot from him. And we look at ETN. How is he getting it done in the passing game? Is it in abundance? Is he more of an explosive guy? He's an explosive pass catcher out of the backfield, averaging over 10 yards after the catch per reception. And I look at this Chiefs defense, they're giving up the most explosive passing plays to opposing running backs. They've given up 7 total receptions of 20 yards or more. I think he hits this in one catch over 17 and a half, but his line's juiced up over 1.5 receptions, so he probably should get 2.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I do too.
Talk to me here about because yeah, I mean, listen, I dig the ETN thing. My concern is obviously that the Jaguars get pushed into a catch up mode. And yeah, that puts ETN on the field for the running back pass plays a lot more here. But what kind of unnerves me, or not unnerves me, what I'm concerned about is Trevor Lawrence. Just in the fact that, you know, the nerves led to 4 interceptions, and yeah, it was against the Chargers are like, I mean, come on, let's face it. The Chargers are like a house of cards, and you know that it's going to come crumbling down. I never take them ever as a favorite. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so what you saw with Trevor Lawrence was fantastic against them. Did he spend all of his emotional capital winning that game and bringing them to the divisional round? What do you think of Trevor Lawrence here going up against, I mean, listen, Spags as the defensive coordinator for Kansas City, very, very good at what he does. And so I kind of worry. What do you think about Lawrence today?
So you can look at it one way. You can look at it the way you put out. Did he expend all of his emotional capital? I walked away from that game saying he went down. He put up 4 interceptions. Some were his fault. Some weren't. And he looked unflappable. He did not look like it was too overwhelming. The videos of him on the sidelines, you're throwing 4 interceptions in your first playoff game, and then you come back and win it. That says something about you mentally. Is it going to be a more chaotic atmosphere in Kansas City than it was than it was at home? Obviously, yes, it's going to be pretty hectic for him. I don't see them winning this game. I think this is a stepping stone for him in his career to have such a big jump from year 1 to year 2. I have the Chiefs winning, covering the 8.5, winning 41-21. We're going to see glimpses of Trevor Lawrence today. I do think he's going to show us something that maybe puts him in the conversation with Burrow, with Herbert, with Mahomes, with Josh Allen. But he should have some struggles at some point. I do like him to get in the end zone. I do think him to score a rushing touchdown at plus 410 has some value to it. He's going to have to make plays. He's going to have to make plays today for this Jaguars offense and kind of keep them in the game. I don't think it's going to look as bad as maybe you pointed it out, Howard. There'll be glimpses, but ultimately he's not overcoming Mahomes and Andy Reid on the road.
Yeah, let's take it to the second game, or the evening game, I guess we will, for today. We have the Eagles taking on the Giants in Philly. Obviously, we didn't see the Eagles play last week. Jalen Hurts maybe not 100% with his shoulder. We'll see. But Devontae Smith, tell me why you like him today.
I'm over on his receiving prop, and I got it at 62.5. It's settled in at 64.5, 65 depending on what book you're on. He's gone over his total, regardless of what the books put out. He's gone over his total in 6 straight games. He's averaging 77 yards per game on the season, 77 yards over the last 10, 70 yards per game on the season. So we're underneath his line. I look at the game last week. Adoree Jackson did a damn good job with Justin Jefferson. I walked away impressed. And I have to imagine he's going to be lined up on A.J. Brown today. So we're going to see Smith with Fabian Moreau, and I think it's a very favorable matchup for Smith in that regard. He's had 5 receptions against the Giants in 3 or 4 games, so he has a good history against this team. And he's hit this specific number in 6 straight games to close the season. He's coming in hot. I think he's going to need a big chunk play. I think maybe we see a 20-yard reception, something explosive. But him over 62.5 is my line.
Yeah, I like it a lot. What do you feel, Howard?
I feel pretty good about it. You know what? I was doing some research last night on this game, and actually I did it specifically because I knew that I was going to be sitting here with you, Lauren, and I knew that Bobby was coming in. So here you go, guys. Throw it down, sprinkle a little. What do you think about the fact that Kenny Golladay and Darius Slay are great friends from when they were in Detroit? They played opposite each other in practice all the time. They're definite buddies. Golladay is all of a sudden starting to get a couple of little snaps, stuff like that. What about Dayball? What about Golladay talking to Dayball, being like, listen, I know the move that I can beat him. Hit me downfield here. Sprinkle an anytime touchdown on Kenny Golladay for when he locks in with his buddy Darius Slay for that one. What do we think? Are we just pissing on money?
No, see, Howard, I personally love these kind of plays. When you do the little background stuff, well, they know each other. Well, I mean, if I look at Kenny Golladay, yeah, he's completely underwhelmed as a Giant, but he is getting some red zone snaps. He is a big body guy. When they get on that 4 or 5 yard line, everyone's going to be looking at Saquon Barkley. Second, they're going to be looking at Daniel Jones. Daboll's a smart guy. Throw a jump ball to Kenny Golladay, and what did you get it at? I have to imagine it's at least 9-1.
Oh yeah. It was I think it was plus.
It's 12-1 right now.
Is it 12-1? I got it at 11. I got it at 11-1 before. Yeah.
Lauren, this is a first. I've never been outmatched in a touchdown odds prop in the history of Let's Bet It. Someone has come on the show with a crazier TD score than me. I hand you my crown, sir.
He stands. He stands, people. I love it.
Good. I'm so emotional right now. I don't know what to do.
Oh my gosh. I know. It's like him accepting an Emmy at this point. I have one more for you, Bobby Stanley, but it doesn't outdo yours, so I'm kind of bummed about it. But at this time, it's okay. Boston Scott. He's played in 58 career games, has scored 17 touchdowns in his career. 10 of those have been against the New York Giants. Would you take him to score a touchdown at plus 310? Because there's something in the water that he just really loves when he goes up against the Giants.
You almost, I mean, you're obligated to at this point. It's a well-known Boston Scott plays the Giants, even if it's $5 or $10. Just to say you were on it, if you're 10,
put
turns
something
you
on
into 30, it's worth it. If you want to throw Boston Scott anytime touchdown and Eagles money line, you may be able to get that to 5-1. I love it. I do think you have to play it in some regard because there is the history there. For whatever reason, he scores against this Giants team. That's the fun stuff when you get a divisional game in the divisional round. You have so much historical data to kind of sort through. So, no, I love it.
I love it too. Bobby Stanley, Prop Holiday, we so appreciate you. Enjoy the 2 games today. We'll be chit-chatting tomorrow, but until then, peace.
Best of luck, guys.
Hey, you too. That was our friend, Prop Holiday, Bobby Stanley. We have guest after guest today because next up, Howard Bender, we're bringing in our guy, Sean Green. You can follow him on Twitter at Sean T. Green. He's the co-host of Sports Gambling Podcast and co-founder of SGP Network. We're excited to have him on to break down all of these games. And also, I think, my friend, there's a big game going on today. Sean, first of all, are you here? Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
He's
alive and well. What's happening, guys?
Hey, I heard Go Birds. I heard there's a big game going on today between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Detroit Red Wings, huh? Is that what everyone's really excited about in Philly right now?
Everyone's going to be talking. Gritty's going to be there. I got some puck line alternate lines to give out to you guys. It's going to be great.
And I think there's another game going on that everyone's exceptionally excited about. The Eagles taking on the Giants. Just how are you feeling? Were you able to sleep last night? How are you feeling heading into this morning? What are the vibes?
Got a couple hours of sleep. Started pre-gaming last night. within 24 hours, you can count it as pre-gaming. Yeah, I mean, the link is going to be lit. I mean, the crowd is obviously going to be insane. They made the mistake of giving us a home playoff game that kicks off at 8:15. It's going to be crazy. And I heard someone say, "Oh yeah, the home field in Minnesota, it's the same as Lincoln Financial Field. It's going to be a completely different beast." Daniel Jones comes in there and faces the number one defense when it comes to sacks, 70th in the league, number one pass DVOA. I mean, I think Hurts is completely healthy. They took him off the injury report. But regardless, I think the real matchup is our defense against the Giants offense.
I do think that is definitely going to be a key thing. I'm a big fan of the Eagles defense, but let's back up to Hurts here because, I also think that he's healthy. I think that he's fine. And, people have been like, well, what if he takes like a really big hit and they jam his shoulder? That can happen to anybody. The real concern that I have here is not only is it the fact that they've played this team now this 3 times in 7 weeks, but Jalen Hurts has been on the field once in 5 weeks, and that's been against the Giants' second and third string defense. So for me, it's more about I'm curious to your thoughts here, Sean. Is it more about the rust and the timing that he's got to reestablish here with his guys, as opposed to really that his shoulder is bothering him?
Well, yeah, and in ultimate homer form, I spun the fact that they lost the games against the Saints and Cowboys into a positive. Like, hey, you know what? They got the game to shake off the rust against the Giants. They played a very safe offense, very vanilla offense, and he shook off the rust. I mean, the stuff he's saying in interviews, the look in his eye, I think he's incredibly focused. And playing a team for a third time, everyone goes, oh, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. But you look at the numbers, it's actually not. Teams that are 2-0 and then play that team the third time in the playoffs, 15-9 straight up, 14-5 straight up when you're talking about playing at home. So I think the home crowd is really going to be able to help. And we haven't even really talked about the rushing game. Miles Sanders had his career best, his best game of his entire life as a professional athlete against this Giants team earlier in the year, 144 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get a heavy dose on the ground and give him some easy stuff in the passing game to get warmed up.
I know you talked about the Eagles defense against the Giants offense. Like, the Giants offense played a perfect game. I was just saying this to Howard too. They played a perfect game last week. Like, Daniel Jones, he was phenomenal in the passing game. He was the best rusher last week. Like, it's hard to think that he's going to have another game like this coming off of last week. But what are your expectations, and how do you kind of see your Eagles defense being able to shut down the Giants offense if they do show up and play like they did last week?
Yeah, I mean, I just think our secondary is so much better than the Vikings secondary. I mean, James Bradbury.
That's true.
They just sat in that. I mean, it's not saying much, but they just sat in that soft zone and those crossers just ran underneath.
Yeah.
Like, if they let them do that, then yeah, it's going to be a long day. But I think he's going to not have time to sit back there and get that done. I do think they're going to take a linebacker, either TJ Edwards or Kaiser White, and spy Daniel Jones. I mean, I'd be shocked if they didn't. And again, I just think our edge rush is going to be able to get to him, and that's really going to mess up a lot of stuff they're trying to do. I mean, Evan Neal was like hanging on by a prayer there against the Vikings defense, and now the Eagles pass rush is just so much stronger.
The Eagles pass rush is definitely a lot stronger there, no doubt about it. I wish that I had done a little screenshot capture. Sean, the look on your face when you heard her actually say the Giants played a perfect game, I thought you were developing like a eye twitch or something going on over there. Talk to me about the Eagles offensive line here. Talk to me about Lane Johnson. Talk to me about the protection schemes. Talk to me about how they're going to hold up against a heavy blitzing Giants team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you want to talk about injuries. I think that injury is a little bigger, the Lane Johnson injury. Now he has a torn abductor. Do I know what an abductor is?
Mm-hmm.
No. Do I pretend? Yeah, of course. So they claim that he's going to put off the surgery. He's good to go. But again, is he going to be 100%? No way. but is he 80%, 90%? I think so, because they shut him down right after that Cowboys game. So it's been a while since he played. I'm not really worried about rust at the offensive tackle position, but if he's out there and clearly not 100% and then refusing to go out, that could be certainly an issue. And yeah, the Giants do bring some interior rush concerns there, but Jason Kelsey is having an all-pro year. You got Landon Dickerson next to him. You can slide a little bit, help there on the nose tackle. And yeah, Wink Martindale likes to bring pressure. It'll be interesting to see if they bring a ton of blitzes against Jalen Hurts. At times he struggled, but then I think also if you're blitzing Jalen Hurts and he finds some rush lanes, you could really be in trouble. So I think they're playing with fire a little bit if they bring a ton of heat, but you almost have to pick your poison against this Eagles offense.
Well, I just did some research for you. An abductor, Sean, is the muscle that helps an arm or leg rotate to the side of the body. It says when you have tendonitis, tendinopathy, or tear, it can be very painful and cause other conditions. But the beautiful thing about these football teams is they have those Toradol shots. You shoot that thing up. It feels good for the next, 6, 7, 8 hours. And then you deal with it after the fact. But I don't know if
is it the shoulder?
I didn't deep dive that much.
Is it the shoulder or is it the butt? Like, I want to know which one's bothering him the most.
Yeah,
just saying, it could be the arm or the leg.
I do like how Howard and I immediately started doing act outs of our abductors. Again, yeah. I'd never heard of an abductor before this injury. Thank God for the NFL, because I feel like I take an anatomy class every year. I find out about a body part that I didn't know you could injure.
Totally. I mean, they say you don't learn anything watching sports. We're learning a lot of things watching sports. Sean, how do you play this game? I mean, the spread's 7.5. How do you play the total? You play the spread? What are you feeling?
Well, here's the thing. They made it 7.5 because they need that Giants action, right? They give you that extra half point. Makes you feel safe at night. You got that half point. Oh, I can sleep well tonight. I 8 points. Oh yeah, 7.5. I feel nice and cuddly. They're not going to win by a touchdown or more. Of course, they're going to win by a touchdown or more. Well, anytime you see 60% of the public on a dog, run away. Run away. You don't want any part of a. Public dogs have fleas. You want to fade the Giants here. Again, Eagles at home. Jalen Hurts, 14-1. 14-1 straight up. You can't go against this, man. Take that. And then the Boston Scott anytime touchdown is real, and you should be riding it. Again, he's never not played the Giants and not scored a touchdown. It's crazy. He has 16 career touchdowns. 10 of them have come against the Giants in 8 games. So even sprinkle a little bit on Boston Scott 2 touchdowns, especially if they are a little hesitant to run Hurts near the goal line because of his shoulder. That even adds it there. Mm-hmm. The narrative is there. Devonta Smith receiving yards. I like those. But I mean, again, total wise, I would lean over at 48 because I do think we're going to be able to get some stuff against the Giants defense. But I got a 35-17. So, again, I'm completely unbiased, but I think the Boston Scott touchdown, Eagles minus 7.5. Those are my favorite bets.
You have your pack of batteries all set for the game today. What do you throw? Do you like to throw a D cell? You like to throw a double A? What's your preference here as an Eagles fan?
9-volt. It's unconventional. Daniel Jones. He's not great at picking up. Yeah, exactly. The sharp corner. He's not great at picking up the blindside pressure when it comes to batteries. So welcome to Philadelphia, Daniel.
Seriously, I know they need to start greasing up those light poles before the game today. Okay, I know we didn't talk very much about the Jags-Chiefs game too, but that spread is at 8.5. The total set at 52.5. What is your take on the Jags taking on the Chiefs? Like, can the Jags bring the momentum from last week? Because they probably left a lot of what they had out on the field.
Yeah, including my Chargers money line ticket. Those bastards.
Dang it.
I know that was so annoying because you saw it coming a mile away. You're like, oh wait, they're gonna blow this. They're gonna blow this, and then it's an
the Chargers Charger.
Yeah. I know, and I always say that, but I was like, oh, this is different. Jaguar. I mean, Dougie P as a playoff underdog, 6-0 ATS, including 5-1 straight up. And if Alshon Jeffrey doesn't drop that ball in the divisional playoff against the Saints, he might be undefeated. I like the Jags catching 8.5. The Chiefs just struggle as big favorites. If the Chiefs are favored by 7 or more, it's just been a tough spot for them. And even Patrick Mahomes in his career, 30, 36, and 1 ATS as a favorite of 3.5 or more. They just kind of play with their food. Their pass defense, 20th DVOA. I think the Jags are going to be able to move the ball, even if it comes in garbage time. I think it's 8.5 to me just feels too high for a team with like nothing to lose, with an offense that, you know, as we saw in the second half, they can run that 2-minute drill against a prevent or soft zone and rack up some points. My favorite prop for this game, a little deep pull here, but give me Noah Gray anytime touchdown. You can get it at like 5-1. Very fun. Jordy Fortson, he's out, their other backup tight end. Again, Jags are also horrific against the tight end, like the Eagles. Obviously, that's good for Kelsey, but you know Andy Reid, he's going to get cute near the goal line. He's going to try something different. Noah Gray's out there, 55% of the snaps. His only touchdown this season comes against the Jags. I love that as a sprinkle at 5-1.
Yeah,
I like
and
that
also
too.
while you were talking, I was just going to say the line just moved to 9.5 on a few sports books while you were talking too for that game, just right now. So if you like the Jags to get that, sorry Howard, backdoor cover, 9.5 could be good to take them right now too. He hates when I say that.
What I do to you guys? What I do to you guys? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is unbelievable. I got Sean rooting for the Eagles, telling me that my wife is going to be in the worst mood possible tonight now.
Oh, no.
So that's disappointing. And now I've got you going backdoor cover here with the No. Give me Andy Reid. Give me the Chiefs. Give me a 10-point win on this one here. I'm fine 35-21, 35-24. I'm okay with that. I don't need the backdoor cover. I mean, come on. Like, you know, you're throwing out a Noah Gray prop here, which is great. And because I'm like, you know, Noah Gray, Blake Bell, which one of these idiot tight ends is going to poach Kelsey's work from me for my DFS lineups? But, you know, I look at some of these other weapons, and I mean, listen, I'll sprinkle something on a Kadarius Toney, you know, anytime touchdown. I love the way they're working him in there. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is primed for a strong game here as well. So I just think that there's too many weapons here for the Chiefs. They're just too much playoff experience as well. And I do think that the Jags did kind of spend a lot of their emotional capital. I forgot, you know, Doug Peterson, former Eagle guy. So now I understand. It all comes full circle here. All comes full circle.
Andy Reid off a bye is a strong trend, and obviously the experience of Mahomes and everything like that as well. So there certainly is a bunch of good angles there for the Chiefs, but I think there's just the Chiefs just don't seem to really put away teams. And that would be my concern with taking the Chiefs minus 8.5 when it comes to the spread. We can't agree.
He's done.
We can't agree on the Grateful Dead.
I thought somebody was calling my name over out here in the back. What?
He said you guys can agree on the Grateful Dead, so that's good.
Greatest band of all time.
I could not name a single song. Yeah, I couldn't name a single song, but you guys go for that.
Wow.
I know.
Not a single song.
I know. I'm sorry. There was actually when I worked for the Colorado Avalanche a couple years ago, they had a Grateful Dead night. And they made me wear a T-shirt and do a hit on the band. And I'm like, I feel like I am selling something that I don't know anything about. I couldn't name a song, but you know, I looked up a couple. They're good. I still couldn't name a song, but you know, they're good. I like them.
When in doubt, go with Althea.
Althea.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, that's what I'm going to do the rest of the day to get pumped up for the games tonight. I'm going to listen to the Grateful Dead and maybe try to climb some light poles outside just to feel like I'm in Philadelphia tonight. So, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck to your Philadelphia Flyers tonight. And, oh, yeah, your Philadelphia Eagles as well. Appreciate that.
Gritty. Go Birds. Good times, guys.
Go Gritty, go Birds. Peace. That was Sean Green. You can follow him on Twitter at Sean T. Green, co-host of Sports Gambling Podcast and co-founder of SGP Network. Okay, before we get into our best bets, Howie Boy, my Grateful Dead listener tour, Let's talk about our friends at Superbook Sports. Make sure to go to superbook.com or download the app today. This season, we are rooting for safeties. That's because Superbook will give you a $50 bonus on each safety scored this season. Just place a $100 pregame bet on any spread or any total. And if there's a safety scored in any game on Sunday, you get a $50 bonus. So make sure to visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. From superbook.com to Picksbook. I was going to say Picksbook.com. Pickswise.com. We have a few 3-star plays of the day on the site. Wow, Howard, words are really hard to come by right now. It is Saturday, and we are just excited about football. We have a few 3-star plays of the day. Make sure to go to Pickswise.com. Check them out. For our best bets of the day, who you got, my friend, for your play of the day?
Well, you know what? I'm Chiefs minus 8.5. I'm gonna double and triple and quadruple down
side
on that one there. No, you don't like that? What about Miles Sanders
I'm
over?
on the opposite side, so maybe we could do a swag bet. We could do a swag bet or something.
I'll do a swag bet with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever you
good.
want it, whatever you're willing to lose. That's really what it is. I am a triple XL in shirt, so just in case you need to know, and a size 12 shoe.
I'm also a triple XL in shirt. Interesting.
No, you're not. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop. What? Like you're a 6-year-old and you need a night shirt? Is that what it is? You're gonna wear like daddy's old T-shirt or something?
Yes, I like a nightgown. We'll make it happen. Okay, tell me why. Why do you like the Chiefs laying the points? Because I'm now taking the Jags at plus 9.5. Now that line's out there.
You can have them at plus 9.5. I think. Listen, again, when I look at lines for games, I immediately look to see what's suspicious. What's the public going to be on? And coming off of, because the public loves to bet exactly. I mean, listen, you've heard Giants fans talking about how this is their year because they beat Minnesota. You're listening to Dallas fans talking about this is their year because of what they did, in the first round of the playoffs. So what's everybody looking at? Everybody's looking at the Jaguars as this big darling team, and 8.5 points, and the Chiefs aren't blowing anybody out. So why wouldn't you do that? And so to me, it's like that's why the line's going up to 9.5 at this point now, because you got all these, you got the sensible money is coming in on the Chiefs, so they've got to up that spread a little bit. The general public is looking at that being like, the Chiefs don't play well at home, they don't blow teams out, blah blah blah. This is that. Again, I'm throwing all of that out the window. I am siding with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes as the playoff dynamic duo here for the experience. And I think experience goes a really long way in this game. So that's what I'm doing. But I mean, listen, if you don't like that, I'll throw a prop at you. Miles Sanders over 65.5 rushing yards.
I got that
a couple of days ago. He hit the 144 against the Giants before the 2 games ago against them. And I think that, they're going to try and expose that Giants run defense, and we're going to see a lot of Miles Sanders there. So those are my plays of the day.
I like it. I'm taking Jacksonville plus 9.5 here. I know, Howard, that is Patrick Mahomes' world, and we're still living in it. I'm not saying the Chiefs are going to lose this game. I think this is maybe going to be a touchdown difference in the score at the end of this game. I look at some of the trends. First of all, the Chiefs are just one of the worst teams against the spread all season long. It's because these books are putting the spread so high. At home, in their last 9 home games, the Chiefs are 1-7-1 against the spread. The Jags have looked really, really good recently, and I just love what they've been doing. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. They've averaged just under 30 points per game during their 6-game winning streak. I know. The rebuttal to that could be, hey, they didn't play some of the best defenses. They played the Colts. They played, who else did they play? They played the Texans. They didn't play some of the best defenses. I know that. But their offense has been rolling. They got it done. They're coming off of a huge momentum win last week. And then the one thing that makes me nervous about the Chiefs is their red zone defense. I think I said it. They're allowing a touchdown scored on over 67% of the opponent's trips to the red zone, which is 31st in the NFL. Only the Colts are worse than that this season. So when it comes to covering the spread, a lot of the times you have to hold teams to field goals. You can't allow them to score touchdowns all the time. They've been, like Sean said, playing with their food a little bit. A lot of these games have been a lot closer than they should have been, including their game against the Texans, right? A lot of these games, they've just been playing really close, and these books are making them double-digit point favorites in a lot of these games, and it's tough to cover a spread. I know that they're so good. They've won 10 of their last 11 games after they lost to the Bills in week 6. They've won 6 straight in against Jacksonville in the all-time series. They're going to win this game, but I feel like a backdoor cover is coming for the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially now that the spread is at 9.5. Give me that extra point, baby. Let's go. What do we got to bet on it?
It's yours. What? Oh,
It's
listen,
mine.
I think if anything, when I win, you should be wearing a T-shirt that says Howard Bender is my hero.
Okay, I'll do that. And then likewise, if I win, you can wear a T-shirt that says Lauren Jabara is my hero.
I can do that.
Why not? We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. I will say my record in swag bets, but this is against Jared. I'm like 4-1. Did I lose one? I might be 4-0, 5-0 maybe. I can't remember. But I don't think I've had to wear a shirt. Jared will never do a swag bet with me again. It's so funny. I love it.
What have you taken off of Jared? What have you taken off of him?
That's a lot of Michigan. A lot of Michigan games that he's betting against my team. And so, and then there was one time where he bet it was the Lions. It was a Lions game. I'm playing, but the Lions were like a 1.5, 2-point underdog, and they ended up winning the game. And so I think that was the last of it. That's the last one that he's ever going to do against me. So it's fine. Wade Howard, I'm so glad that we got to do the show together. I missed you. It's been a minute since I've seen you. It's been fun. Thank you so much for coming on and doing the show with me today.
It's been an absolute blast. I'm super psyched about it. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a ton of fun.
Everyone go check out Howard Bender on Twitter. He's the best. Has some of the best prop bets, best takes on the whole league in general. Big baseball guy too. Love talking to you over the summer. Make sure to follow Howard Bender. He's the absolute best, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. That's Howard Bender. I'm Lauren Jabara. Best of luck with all your bets tonight, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, peace out. Enjoy the divisional round.